Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the next game in the 1987 American League replay. Had a false start there. I was trying to set it up for 9:30, but I was downstairs and I forgot that if I don't, if I set it up without the webcam being connected to the computer, then it's not going to recognize the webcam when I start. So I had to cancel that one, go to this one, and now hopefully everything is copacetic. Just a minor little bump in the road, so to speak. All right, so we have the Minnesota Twins taking on the Toronto Blue Jays from Toronto. Look at our our win-loss records for each team. Toronto was 13-6, Minnesota 8-12. Starting pitchers Joe Johnson for the Blue Jays and Mike Smithson for the Twins. Look at Johnson's. Well, I got to go to the Strat computer for that. Johnson's win-loss record. He has had some tough luck. He is 0-3. So out of the 6 losses, he's got half of them 0-3, but his ERA is 2.25. 2.35. He's pitched well, just got no run support. He's got a 2.35 earned run average, 23 innings pitched, 17 hits, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Those are solid numbers. He's just not getting the support he needs. That's the problem as to why he has the 0-3 record. As for Mike Smithson, he is 1-2 with a 4.88 earned run average. So initially looking at this, it looks like it might be a high scoring game, but that's why you roll the dice. We'll look at the starting lineups. We got Lombardozzi at second, Bush in right, Puckett in center, Herbeck at first, Gaetti at third, Smalley the DH, Bernansky in left, Gagne at short, and Nieto doing the catching. For Toronto, typical lineup for them against right-handers. Fernandez at short, Mullenix at third, Mosby in center, Bell in left, Barfield in right, Upshaw at first, Witt catching, McGriff should say DH here, not first base. I wrote that in wrong. McGriff the DH and Sharperson at second base. Pitcher-catcher quotients for Toronto, it's a 0 because Johnson's a 0 and Witt's a 0. For the Twins, it's +5. Smithson's a +7. Nieto's 0, but +5 is as high as it'll go. Ballpark effects for Exhibition Stadium. Singles are 1-9 for both lefties and righties. Home runs are 1-11. This is the third game, I believe it is now, or it might be the second game, I have to remember, for April 29th. Game number 140. So I believe this is game 3 on this date because we had Chicago, Cleveland, and Baltimore, Kansas City, the first 2. So this is the third game of the April 29th block. And we got our supposedly Toronto Blue Jay colored dice. See how that plays out. And Joe Johnson will be finishing up his warm-up tosses. Both starting pitchers have fatigue of a 5, so the bullpens are going to most likely figure prominently in this game. Steve Lombardozzi stepping into the box against Joe Johnson. Lombardozzi's hitting .292, a homer and 5 driven in. And runned away from Toronto. That's a 6-7 against right-handers, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. That is going to be Fernandez. He's a 1. You know he's going to get to it, so we don't need that. We're just checking the error because the range is not a factor. It's an E17, so he has to avoid 15, 16, and 17. Those are the only 3 chances he has to make an error. And 13, he's going to survive it and make the play. And we're underway. Ground ball to Fernandez for 1 away. Retires Lombardozzi, and that brings up Randy Bush. And Bush, the right fielder in this game, hitting .264, 1 homer, 7 driven in. That's a 6-5 against the lefty. He's going to pop it up to third. Mullenix waits for it and secures it in fair territory. 2 down. 2 up and 2 down. Here comes Kirby Puckett. Puckett is hitting .277, 2 homers and 6 driven in. 111, and that's a fly ball to left, and that's going to be handled out there by Bell. And that's a 1-2-3 inning for Joe Johnson. He's been pitching well, just hasn't had the run support. Let's see if Toronto can give him some runs this time. He's probably saying that would be nice. Mike Smithson is on the mound now for the Twins. Hello, Canadian. Good to see you. Smithson on the replay, as we said earlier, is 1-2. His ERA is 4.88. 24 innings pitched, 24 hits, 12 walks, and 14 strikeouts. And leading things off for the Blue Jays will be shortstop Tony Fernandez. He's hitting .342, no homers, and 3 driven in. So look at something here real quick just to make sure we're okay. It looks like we are. Best I can tell. That needs to be a little brighter or not. Let's see, maybe we'll brighten it up just a hair. Oops, wrong way. Let's fix this here. Get it straight. All right, I think that will do it. Hello, Hardwood. Good to see you. All right, so it is going to be Fernandez to lead it off against Smithson. It's a 2-7, and that's a ground ball to second. Lombardozzi will take care of it, and Fernandez is retired. One away, and that's going to take us to Rance Mullenix, third baseman, and he is hitting .386. No homers, 5 driven in, 44 at bats for Mullenix. 4-8, Smithson to the lefty. 1-19 is a single, so Mullenix gets that base hit and continues his hot hitting. He, however, is not much of a threat to run, so he will not be held. And Lloyd Mosby, center fielder, will step to the plate. Mosby hitting .313, 5 homers, 22 driven in. The first havoc roll of the night belongs to Smithson, and we get a 1. How do you like that? Chance of a wild pitch is a 7. And it will be a wild pitch. Boy, this thing's come up 1 twice. I might have to switch it out for the other white D20 if we're going to have this happening. I don't need a flurry of 1s. All right, so Smithson uncorks the wild pitch that will move Mullenix into scoring position at third base. And now here's Mosby. It takes the double play out of the equation for sure. And I don't remember if I ever gave the numbers on Mosby. He's hitting .313, 5 homers, 22 driven in. It's a 3-8, and that's a 1-16 single. That's a 2, so it's going to be a base hit. It's only 1 star. So Mullenix will have to stop at third base. But runners on the corners with 1 out. And Mosby definitely a threat to run, especially that +5 staring him in the face. So 2-5, he gets the lead. He does not get the lead, but he still, even without the lead, he has a chance to try it. 13 being held makes him a 9, but then the +5 makes it a 14. That's still pretty saucy to try it. So they're going to send him 1-14. He makes it. And he gets thrown out. Boy, I tell you what, try to get greedy, and it just doesn't pay off. Not necessarily the smartest move, but he just thought that -5 there and thought he could do it. But Twins had other ideas, and now there's 2 away with Mullenix in third. And it's going to be up to George Bell in a clutch situation. Bell in the clutch has no ratings. He's very much neutral in the clutch. Hello, Ron. Good to see you. That's a 3-11, and that's a ballpark single check. It's 1-9, but that's a 16. So he's going to line it to short, and the Blue Jays come away empty-handed, perhaps running themselves out of an inning, although it would have required a 2-out hit from Barfield. So you never know how that would have played out, but nothing doing there. We go to the second, still no score from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. They do not get their new ballpark until mid-season 1989. That's when they build that really, really nice what's called now Rogers Center. All right, so Joe Johnson will now be facing Kent Herbeck to lead off the second. He's hitting .315, 6 homers, 15 driven in. Of course, it was called Sky Dome when it first opened. 5-4, and that's an in-home run chance, 1-8. That's an 18, so he'll have to settle with a double. So Kent Herbeck, leadoff double for Mr. Herbeck. He will not be held at second. There's Gary Gaetti, third baseman. He's hitting .268, 3 homers, and 14 runs driven in. It's a 1-6, and he's going to ground it to short. There's an A there, so Herbeck will have to hold. Plays in front of him. Fernandez checks Herbeck at second and fires the first for the out. Gaetti is retired. Here comes the designated hitter, Roy Smalley. He's struggling at .208. No homers and 8 driven in. Smalley is a switch hitter. 2-5, and he's going to single to the right field. But do you run on? I don't think you. If you're the Twins, I don't think you run on Barfield's -5 arm, especially with Herbeck being such a slow runner. So they will hold Herbeck at third base. But runners on the corners with 1 out. Smalley will not be held. And now Brunansky is up with a chance to get something done. Brunansky on the replay hitting .275, 3 homers, 8 driven in. Infield looking for the double play, 4-8. It's a 1-4 single, line out to short on a 5-20. That's an 11. So Brunansky will line it to Fernandez for out number 2. And now all Johnson has to do is get Greg Gagne out to get out of the inning. Gagne up in a clutch situation. And in the clutch, Gagne will lose a hit on 3-8 and on 2-8. So definitely anti-clutch in those 2 spots. For the season, he's hitting .288, 2 homers, 6 driven in. Johnson to Gagne, 2 outs and 2 on in the second. 4-5, and that's a fly ball to right field, put away by Barfield, and that's going to do it. The Twins will also leave runners on base and miss an opportunity to put runs on the board. We go to the bottom of the second, and no score from Toronto. A little bit later start tonight than I wanted to. I finished, my basketball game was on tonight, so I had to watch that, wait for that to get done, and now I can come up here. Ideally, I like to start about 8:30, but this one obviously a little bit later, but it's okay. We can handle it. Hello, Joel and Kenyon. Good to see both you, and Chuck. Good to see you. All right, so here is Jesse Barfield hitting .299, 5 homers and 20 driven in. It's a 2-7, and it's a 1-6 single, but that's a 10. So he will line it to Gagne or out number 1. 1 down, and that's going to send up Willie Upshaw, first baseman. He has definitely been struggling. He's hitting an even 275 at bats. No homers, 7 driven in. 6-7, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. That's Gagne. He's a 2, E24. 2 and a 12. He'll get to it. E24 at shortstop. He has to avoid 4, 6, 15, 17, and 18. That's a 13, so he just does. So Gagne will make the play. 2 down, and that's going to send us to Ernie Witt, the catcher. Ernie Witt is hitting .241 on the replay with 1 homer and 7 driven in. It's a 4-11, and that's a fly ball right field X. That is Bush. He's a 4. 4 in right field is not too good. 4 and a 15, though. He might get away with it. Probably will. 4 and a 15 is going to be an F2, and his error rating's a 6, so he just has to avoid 3, 4, 14, 17, and 18. And he just get an 18. Boy, how many times you roll triple 6? You kidding me? That's a 3-base error on Randy Bush because of the 18 there. All these outfield things are 18s, are 3-base errors. So it's a 3-base, he's an E6, and we've got an 18. So that is a 3-base error on Bush. The only good part for the Twins is the bases were empty and there were 2 outs. So all it's going to take is them to get Fred McGriff out, and that will get him out of the inning. But it's a very rare 3-base error I think it's the first one I've had this year that I can recall. 18s are not easy to roll, so just happened to do it that time. That's just the way it works. Hello, Utah Mike. See you. So McGriff is up now, and he's in a clutch situation. He loses a hit on 3-2 in the clutch, so a very small anti-clutch. But Witt is at third with 2 outs. That's a 6-7, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. We're going back to Gagne. He's a 2. 2 and a 1. Boy, this 1 is just coming up way too much. I'm going to probably just switch out D20. I think I picked the wrong D20, to be quite honest with you. So a 2 and a 1 is a single. That's going to get the run home. And again, he is an E24, so he's got to avoid 4, 6, 15, 17, and 18. And he does, but it's a base hit for McGriff, and that will score Witt. And McGriff, in case I forgot to mention it, was hitting .205, 3 homers and 5 runs driven in. Of course, now he has 6 runs driven in. And the Twins, that 3-base error does now come back to bite them as the run scores unearned. And here comes Mike Sharperson, number 9 hitter. He's definitely struggling, a 177 average. No homers and 5 driven in. McGriff obviously not being held at first. That's a 110 for Sharperson, and that is a ballpark single check, 1-9. That's an 18. It's going to pop it up to third, and that's going to end the inning. But the Twins give up the run thanks to the 3-base error by Randy Bush. At the end of 2, it is Blue Jays 1, Twins nothing. Tom Nieto will lead off. He's hitting .233, no homers, 2 driven in. 311, and that's a fly ball to left field plus an injury. So we'll check the injury first. 1-4, he can stay in the game. Anything else has got to come out. He stays in the game, so he fights it off. But it is a 311, which is a fly to left. So Nieto will stay in the game. He will not come out for injury. He will stay in the game. But he does fly to left to start the inning. Here's Lombardozzi, grounded to short his first trip. 1-3, and that's a hit by pitch, so he gets plunked by Joe Johnson. And he will not be held. And that'll bring up Bush trying to atone for that 3-base error. 4-7, and it's a ground ball second base X. Second baseman is Sharperson. He's a 4. That's their one trouble spot in the infield. Mullix is also 4. So they're pretty good with Upshaw being a 2 and Fernandez a 1, but Mullix and Sharperson are both 4s. 4 and a 14, though, he may catch a break. 4 and a 14 is a G2, actually. Chance for the fielder's choice. His error rating, E23. It's an 11 or a 17. And he gets away with it. So it's going to be a fielder's choice, 5-4. 4 out number 2. So Sharperson barely was able to get to that, but did what he needed to do. And now there are 2 away for Kirby Puckett. Puckett flew to left his first chance. Bush, the new runner, will be held. Question is, will he try for the lead? Needs a 4 or a 6, so why not try for it and get in scoring position? I can't get it, so it's a moot point. So that'll bring up Puckett. 1-9, and Puckett single 2 stars. So that's going to send Bush to third base. Keep the inning going, keep the train moving for Kent Hrbek. Puckett could get the lead on a 4 through 6. then it'd be a 1-13, but you got your cleanup hitter up there. The Blue Jays made that mistake running themselves out of the inning at first. The Twins are not going to do that. So it's up to Herbeck, who did double his first chance. 2-6, and this is a ballpark blast. 1-11. That's a 16, though. It's just a deep fly to right, and the inning is over. So look promising there for second for Minnesota, but warning track power on that play. And we go to the bottom of the third, still 1-0 favor of the Blue Jays. Smithson will come back out and face the top of the order: Fernandez, Mullenix, and Mosby. Fernandez, his first time up, grounded to second. 4-6, switch hitter batting left. That's a base hit. 1-14 is a double. That's a 15. It's going to be a solid single for Fernandez, and he's definitely looking to get the lead. Fernandez, coming into this game, has 2 stolen bases. He's looking for number 3 right here if he can get the lead. 6 or a 7 gets them the lead. Does not get the lead. Now, again, back to the same thing. He would be a 13, -4 for being held, make him a 9, but then that +5 makes him a 14, so they figure they got to go this time. 1-14, he's safe. And he's thrown out again. How many times is that going to happen? So caught stealing, 2-6. Nieto says, don't try me. So raced on the base paths, and here's Mullenix. Maybe overzealous on the base pass. 1-5 is a ground ball to short A. If they didn't steal, it'd be a double play. So, you know, there were going to be 2 outs and the bases clear either way you go. Just a matter of how you score it. So here comes Mosby. If you don't send him and the guy still double play, you'll say, hey, you should have sent him. So no win situation. It's that Kobayashi Maru if you're a Star Trek fan, which simply means it's a no-win situation. 6-4, and that's going to be a catcher X. That's Nieto. He's a 2. 2-17 should be very easy. Very easy on a 2-17, you would think. 2-17 is a G2. Assuming there's no error, he's an E1. The only error he can make is 17. And he does not do that. It's a 2-3 ground out, and that will quickly end the inning. So 3 innings are in the books, and it's still 1-0 Blue Jays. Much lower scoring game than I anticipated with the pitching matchup. But again, that's why you roll the dice. You never know what the dice are going to say. Plus, we've had 2 caught stealings, so that's helped cut down things as well. In fact, the only run of the game was unearned. It's a 3-base error. So here is Gaetti, grounded to short his first trip. It's a 6-6, and that's going to be a base hit. 1-7 is a double. That's a 17, so it'll be a leadoff single for Gaetti. And Gaetti will have to be held. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I'd be shocked if he did. If he gets the lead, it'd be a 1-13. And the way these stolen bases have not been going well, I think they're going to hold him there. And they will use Roy Smalley. Nothing on the havoc. Here's Smalley. 3-8 for Smalley is a fly to center, and that's going to be 1 away. Twins looking for some kind of spark. Here's Brunansky. It's a 4-5, and that's a fly to right. Put away by Barfield, 2 down. Now it's all up to Gagne. Flew out his first chance. Gaddy's still stuck at first. 4-7, and that's a single to center field. So Gaetti, let's see, he was not being held. First of all, center fielder arm is a 0. So Gaetti was not being held as a 14, makes him a 15. With 2 outs, makes him a 17. So they're going to give him third base and keep Gagne at first. So that's going to put runners at the corners, as Mosby will throw it back in to prevent Gagne from taking second base. So 2 outs and 2 on, and clutch situation for Nieto. Nieto in the clutch is neutral. He flew to left his first time up and avoided injury. 3-2, he's going to ground it to third, and this time easy play, 5-4 fielder's choice for Mullenix, and that's going to end the inning. And again, they leave more people on base. And we go to the bottom of the fourth, still 1-0 in favor of the Jays. And George Bell will lead it off for Toronto against Smithson. Bell, 6-6, 1-14 is a single. That's a 15, so he's going to line it to short. 1 away. 1 down for Barfield. Barfield also lined out his first time. 2-9, and he's going to ground it to short this time. So Gagne getting a lot of work over there. Quickly 2 outs for Willie Upshaw, who also grounded out to Gagne in his first trip. 6-7, and that's another ground ball to Gagne. It's ground ball shortstop X, so Gagne is a 2. 2 and a 4. I think he'll be all right on that. 2 and a 4 is a G3 pound, but nobody's on base to be held, so it's still good. E24, once again, he has to avoid 4, 6, 15, and 17. And he does, so Gagne makes the play. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Smithson. We go to the fifth, it's still 1-0. Just waiting for either one of these pitchers to implode because neither one of them are exactly the aces of the staff, but they're pitching very well right now. This is the fatigue inning for both coming up, though. Number 5, so they keep cognizant of that. And it's the third time through the order, and that can, by metrics, can be bad for the starting pitchers. Here is Lombardozzi. He's grounded to short and been hit by a pitch. 4-8, and it's a 1-4 single. Anything else he lines up, that's a 2, so it will be a single for Lombardozzi. Leadoff single. He will not be held. And that brings up Randy Bush. It's a 5-8, and that's a fly ball to right field. Barfield is there, 1 away. And it's going to come down now to Puckett and Herbeck to get something done. Puckett is 1 for 2. 4-6, and that's a single to left field, so he's 2 for 3. But with the single going to left, Lombardozzi will freeze as Bell has a -2 arm. Plus, you lose 2 going from first to third on a single to left, so just not mathematically not a good play to try to send him. Although to get to third with 1 out would be big, but you really would be risking it. So here's Herbeck. Lombardozzi not held at second base. 3-5, and that is a walk, and that's going to load the bases. And now Joe Johnson, I do believe, just reached fatigue. Yes, he did. Now the question is, how long do you leave him in there? Gary Gaetti is up with the bases loaded and 1 out. And we look at their bullpen for the Blue Jays and try to figure out who they have available. Let's get their bullpen pitchers out here. See who is available and who's not tired and all that good stuff from the computer. And we have Is anybody showing tired? Nope. Everybody in the bullpen is showing rested. So they could go a lot of directions here. But they're going to let Johnson at least face one more batter. But they do have right-handed activity. Mark Eichhorn is loosing in the Blue Jay bullpen. But he needs time to warm up, and they're going to see if Johnson can stick it out. Bases loaded, 1 out in a 1-0 game, but the Twins are threatening seriously. Infield looking for the double play. 5-2. It's a fly ball left field B. It's a sacrifice fly by Gaetti. And that will score Lombardozzi to tie the game. So finally, the Twins put a run across the board. They do tie the game at 1. Runners at first and second with 2 outs for Roy Smalley. A clutch situation for Smalley. He loses a hit on 1-7 in the clutch. That's a 1, so Joe Johnson's wild pitch rating is a 9. And it is going to be a wild pitch on Joe Johnson. So Joe Johnson uncorks a wild pitch to move the runners up into scoring position. Now a base hit could score 2 runs, perhaps. Each pitcher with a wild pitch in this game. So Smalley now with runners at second and third and 2 down, facing Joe Johnson. That's a 6-9 switch hitter, and that's a line out to short, but it's a dot right there, so that's going to turn into a 2-run single. So they leave in Johnson 1 batter too long, and they pay for it. The wild pitch and the dot. The wild pitch and the dot on that 6-9 cost them. So 2-run single from Roy Smalley puts the Twins in the lead 3-1, and that's going to do it for Joe Johnson. His day is done. And they will call on Mark Foghorn Eichhorn to come in and pitch for the Blue Jays. So Eichhorn be making his appearance. And we'll get the numbers on Eichhorn. On the replay, Eichhorn enters the game 0-0 with a save, a 4.73 earned run average, 13 innings pitched, 18 hits, 4 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Roy Smalley will not be held at first base, and it's going to be Brunansky stepping in against Eichhorn. To 2-4, and it's ground ball to short. That's going to be a fielder's choice, 6-4 to end the inning, but 3 runs for the Twins. And they take a 3-1 lead into the bottom of the 5th. So perhaps they left Joe Johnson in 1 batter too long. Smithson, this will be his fatigue inning, so the Twins have to watch out for the same thing. Not leave Smithson in too long. It'll be Witt, McGriff, and Sharperson. All right. 6-3, ground ball pitcher X. Smithson is an E0, and he is a 3. So we know he's not going to make an error, just whether he can get to it or not. 3 and 12 he will, so it's going to be an easy play for Smithson. And Witt is retired. It'll bring up McGriff. Singled his first chance. It's a 4-7, and that's going to be a single again. So McGriff 2 for 2 from the DH position. And now that's going to send up Sharperson. McGriff not going to be held. Sharperson popped out To Gaetti, his first chance. Sure we're not missing anything here. Let's move this over just a touch if we can. All right, so Sharperson against Smithson. 3-11. That's a ground ball shortstop B, fielder's choice. 6-4. Sharperson, the new base runner. See if he can obtain the lead. 2 through 5 or a 9. He gets a 5, he will get the lead. So that's a 15. Being held as a 13, but then the +5 is an 18. They've been 0 for 2, but certainly on a 1 to 18, they ought to be able to make this. And they do. It's a possible throwing error on Nieto. His T rating is a 2, though. Not very high. So no throwing error, but it will be a stolen base for Sharperson. He will steal second base. And for Sharperson, that's his first stolen base of the season. But it seemed like a good time to try it, and they did it. Puts him in scoring position at least with 2 outs. Turns Tony Fernandez at bat into a clutch situation. And he is neutral in the clutch. So it really says, I don't care if it's clutch or not. Fernandez is 1 for 2. It's a 2-10, and that's a ballpark single check, 1 to 9, but that's a 17. He lines it out to Herbeck, and that's going to end the inning. So Smithson will continue with some endurance remaining. We go to the top of the 6th. It is still 3-1 Twins. Eichhorn back out. He only faced 1 batter in the 6th, so he's certainly not tired. And I can get the final results on Johnson now. Probably need to do that. Be a good idea to put Johnson's numbers down and get that cleaned up going forward. Joe Johnson officially for the game. Goes 4 2/3, gives up 8 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. Walked 1, didn't strike anybody out. So those are the final numbers on Johnson. Conversely, Smithson is pitching a 5-hit shutout, and the only run he allowed was unearned. So, all right, here's Gagne. He's 1 for 2. It's a 1-4, and he's going to fly to center field. And Mosby is there. Put it away. 1 down. And again, another case where Joe Johnson is not getting run support. Usually the Blue Jays score about 10 runs a game. They've scored 1. So when he pitches, they just don't score. I don't know what it is, but the dice just don't pan out for him. Here's Nieto. 3-7. He's going to strike out. That's the first Twins strikeout of the game. Belongs to Eichhorn. And here's Lombardozzi. He is 1 for 2. He's singled, scored a run, was hit by a pitch. 1-5. He's going to ground it to short. Tony Fernandez makes the play. And the inning is over. It's an easy 1-2-3 for Eichhorn. And we go to the bottom of the 6th. Score still 3-1. Favor of the Twins. But the heart of the order is coming up for Toronto. Mullenix, Mosby, Bell, and Barfield. This is where they need to make some hay when you got the big boys coming up. Mullenix is 1 for 2. 1-3, and he's got the ballpark singles, a 1 to 9, but that's a 19, so he will line it to second base. Right to Lombardozzi, 1 away for Lloyd Mosby. He's 1 for 2. 6-7, and that's a ground ball shortstop exit for which Gaetti's had a workout over there. I'm sorry, Gagne has. 2-1. That's going to get through for a base hit. E24. Make sure no. Well, that's a 5. So let's look and see what it is for a base hit. 2-1 is an S1. So we're doing a rare play on an S1. With run on first base, with no run on first base, the batter hits a single. So there was no rare play really to that because nobody was on first base. Had the runner been on first, he would have been hit by the batted ball kind of thing. All right, so Mosby, he's definitely looking to run. If he can get the lead. He's not going to try without the lead. He got caught last time doing that, so not going to do it this time. He needs a 2 through 5. Does not get the lead, so they're not going to tempt fate again, down by 2 runs. They're looking for maybe some power from the middle of the lineup. 3-7. They don't get it. It's a ground ball to short, and that's a 6-4-3 double play. And that's going to take care of the Twins here in the 6th, and Smithson's still going. We go to the top of the 7th, still 3-1 Twins. And let's see what the Blue Jays want to do. I guess they're going to stick with Eichhorn for one more inning, at least to start the inning. Bush is your batter. He's 0 for 3. 3-7, and he's going to draw a base on balls to start the inning. Now the Blue Jay bullpen is starting to stir again. They have left-handed action in their bullpen. Left-hander, John Cerruti. So John's seen in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Might have face Herbeck. So this could be the last batter for Eichhorn facing Kirby Puckett. Puckett is 2 for 3. 4-10, and that's a ballpark single check, 1-9, but that is a 10. So that's a fly ball to right field for out number 1. And now the Blue Jays will make that move to the bullpen. As Jimmy Williams steps out from the dugout, makes the call to the bullpen with the left arm motion. And that will be it for Mark Eichhorn. They will go to left-hander John Cerruti. And we'll get the numbers on Cerruti. Can't close the book on Eichhorn because the run on base is his responsibility. So Cerruti comes in. And very nice numbers for Cerruti. He's 1-0 with no saves and a 1.86 earned run average. 10 innings pitched, 8 hits, only 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. So he's done pretty well for himself. And he inherits Bush at first base with 1 out. And Kent Herbeck is your batter. Lefty on lefty matchup. That's a 2-3, and that's a fly ball. I'm sorry, over here. 2-3 is a ballpark. I'm sorry, I was going to 1-3. 2-3 is a fly to center. I'll get it straight in a minute. 2-3 is a fly out to Mosby for out number 2. And it's Gary Gaetti. Sacrifice fly his last time up. 4-3 to righty. Ground ball first base X. That is Upshaw. He's a 2. He was not holding Bush on, so he keeps his 2 rating. 2 and a 4, probably okay. I'm guessing. 2 and a 4 is a G, 3 pound, but he's not holding the runner, so the pound is irrelevant. First baseman error chance for Upshaw is an 11, so he's got to avoid 6, 8, 15, 3, and 18. That is a 14, so that's good enough. The E11 has no 14. It's a 15, but no 14. So he will field it and flip to Cerruti covering, and that's going to end the inning. And now we can close the book on Eichhorn. And we're also at the 7th inning stretch. So while we check on, do some cleanup on statistics, you can sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" or whatever makes you happy. Eichhorn goes an inning and 2/3. He is going to give up no hits or runs, does walk 1 and strike 1 out. And Cerruti will continue into the 8th. For the Twins, Smithson back out again. But the bullpen for the Twins is lurking, as we have right-hander George Frazier and left-hander Joe Klink, the Colonel, both loosening in the bullpen for Tom Kelly. 7th inning stretch is over. Moving along pretty good, so I didn't feel like I had to stretch. So I was going to keep rolling. Jesse Barfield steps to the plate. He's 0 for 2. To 210, and he's going to be 0 for 3. That's a fly out to center field. And Barfield is retired. Brings up Upshaw. Upshaw is grounded out to Gagne twice. 3-7, and he's going to ground out this time to Lombardozzi for out number 2. So I don't know what it is about when Joe Johnson starts, but the Blue Jay bats go dormant when he does. Don't get it, it just happens. Here's Ernie Witt. Seems like each staff has a guy that doesn't get any run support. 4-7, and that's a single for Ernie Witt. 2-out single, keeps the inning going. For Fred McGriff, chance for McGriff to get something done. He's 2 for 2, but they like to get a little power out of him. 5-7, and they don't. 5-7 is a ground ball, second base X. That is Lombardozzi. He's a 2. 2 and a 10 is good play. I think it's probably a fielder's choice. 2 and a 10 is actually a G1, which would start the double play, which still by default is a fielder's choice. And the error chances on Lombardozzi is an E18. So he's got to avoid 13, 3, and 18. Those are the only 3 numbers they're getting. And he did. So it's going to go 4-6 on the fielder's choice to end the inning. And how about that? Mr. Smithson goes 7 innings of very fine pitching, and he's still not tired. Question for Tom Kelly is, do they pull him or do they leave him in there? Well, Cerruti will start the 8th. I'll move the cards over here now since we're into this part of the score sheet. And it'll be Smalley, Brunansky, and Gagne. We are, of course, in the spot where pinch hitters are now allowed. So any potential pinch hitters could be coming up, particularly for Toronto. Sharperson leads off the bottom of the 8th. That's a perfect candidate to be pinch hit for. All right, Cerruti to Smalley. It's a 6-11 switch hitter batting right-handed. Ground ball pitcher X to Cerruti. He's an E10. He's a 3 E10. 3 and a 17, he'll get to it, but the E10 might cause problems. E10, not too bad. 11, 15, 3, and 18. 11, 15, 3, and 18. 10, he's going to sneak by and make a good play. So Cerruti is able to throw over after he bobbles it and had time to get the slow running Smalley for out number 1. Here's Bruno, Tom Brunansky. 111, and that's a hit by pitch. So that is the second hit by pitch by Toronto pitching. Joe Johnson hit Lombardozzi, and now Cerruti has hit Brunansky. Don't think anything's intentional there. Just got away from him a little bit. Now let's see, Cerruti is a -4 hold. So that's going to cut down the running game quite a bit. Brunansky can try to get the lead, but he gets caught stealing automatically on an 8 or a 12. 3-7. If he got the lead, it would be a 1-9. So that's not good. Those aren't good odds. So they will hold him there. And here's Greg Gagne. It's a 3-3 ground ball third base B, fielder's choice, 5-4. And Gagne takes over as the new runner. Don't know if he would feel frisky enough to try to go anywhere. But to get in scoring position with 2 outs would be pretty nice. So they may try it. 2 through 6 gets him the lead. Does not get the lead, doesn't have to worry about it. Here's Nieto. Normally I'd pinch hit for Nieto, but they're in the lead, so I'm going to keep him in there. 3-5 against the lefty. Would be a clutch base hit, but the runner's only at first base, not at second base, so it will stand as a fly out to left field. And that's going to end the inning. So Cerruti gets through that as well. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. And there will be a pinch hitter for Sharperson. And that's going to be it for Smithson as well. Tom Kelly doesn't want to push the envelope anymore. I think he's milked Smithson for all he can get. And they will bring on a new pitcher, and it will be George Frazier. George Frazier, the right-hander, will be on to pitch for the Twins. And let's take a look at the numbers on Smithson. Complete his numbers. 7 innings pitched, 7 hits, a run which was not earned, no walks and no strikeouts, which is also very unusual, but that's just the way it is. Frazier's also a +5 hold, so that doesn't help the cause there either. But now we get a pinch hitter coming up for the Blue Jays because they're not going to let Mike Sharperson hit. They're going to pinch hit for Sharperson right away. And they will go with a left-handed pinch hitter off the bench. And that left-handed pinch hitter will be Rick Leach. Leach will pinch hit, and then going into play second base will be Garth Orge. Will take over at second base. So Leach to pinch hit. So Leach pinch hits in the 8th and Orge second base in the 9th. That's what we'll have. So Leach, it'll be Leach, Fernandez, and Mullenix due up against George Frazier. Let's get the numbers on Frazier. See what kind of season he has had to this point. Actually, a pretty good one, according to this. Frazier is 0-0 and no saves, but he got a 1.80 earned run average, 10 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. For Rick Leach, he's 2 for 9, a 2.22 average, no homers and no RBIs. Limited duty, mostly pinch hitting duties. It's a 3-6, and he's going to strike out. So Leach will whiff in the pinch hitting capacity. 1 away, back to the top of the order for Fernandez. It's a 1-6, and that's a 1 for a triple. A 1-2 triple, 3-20 is a double. It'll be a double for Tony Fernandez. And now the tying run is at the plate for Rance Mullenix. Fernandez will not be held at second. That's a 4-11, and that's a ball. I'm sorry, 4-11 is a fly ball left field X. That is Brunansky. Brunansky is a 2-E4 for Brunansky. So the 4-11 was a fly ball left field X. So Brunansky is a 2-E4. Boy, that 1 keeps coming up more than times than I can count. 2 and a 1 will drop in for a base hit, obviously. Nobody can get that unless you're a 1. So 2 and a 1 is actually going to be a double 2 stars. So that will score Fernandez from second base on the base hit by Mullenix. Make sure there's no error. He's an E4. Has to avoid 3, 4, 15, and 18. And he does, but it's going to drop in for a base hit for Mullenix. And now you wonder if they might go to a different pitcher out of the bullpen with these lefties coming up. The only lefty they have is Joe Klink. They also have Jeff Reardon ready to go as well. So they might be calling on Jeff Reardon very quickly to squelch this rally. And that's exactly what Tom Kelly has done. They were trying to hold him out till the ninth, but they don't feel like they can. So Jeff Reardon, who hasn't had many outings, so he's well rested. He's 0-0 with 2 saves and a 1.42 earned run average, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. So he is certainly well rested, and they'd rather have him in there than Klink, who is not that effective. Even against the left-handers, they don't want to trust it. So Frazier will end up going a third of an inning, giving up 2 hits and a run so far. No walks and 1 strikeout. But Reardon it is to try to get a 5-out save. And Reardon, let's look at Reardon real quick. He's a +1 hold. Nieto's a 0, so it's a +1. So Reardon is on to try to keep the Twins in the lead if possible. Mullenix at first base will not be held. And it will be Lloyd Mosby, who was 2 for 3 in the game. Ron, this is a modified version of this. I got this from in an email from Spokane Steve. Somebody made it for him, and he was gracious enough to send me a PDF. So it works out really well. Gives me a whole lot of room. That Form B score sheet is good, but there's a lot of wasted space there, and I can use it better for this. So I do like the score sheet very, very much. Shout out to Spokane Steve for that. All right, so Mosby against Reardon, with Mullenix actually at second. I forgot there was a double, not a single. So Mullenix is at second base, scoring position with only 1 out. Reardon to Mosby, 110, fly ball to center. That's 2 away. They're not going to run on Puckett, that's for sure. Mullenix froze at second base, and it's up to George Bell in a clutch situation against Reardon. Bell in the clutch is actually showing neutral. He has nothing there. So Reardon, sometimes the save occurs in the 8th inning, so that's why you bring him in. 5-5, that's a strikeout, and boy, Reardon got the job done. So Frazier will escape with just the 1 run allowed, but Reardon keeps them in check and keeps the score 3-2 as we go to the top of the 9th. And now the new second baseman will be Garth Orge for the Blue Jays. And you wonder, would they go with another pitcher or stick with Cerruti? Cerruti's pitching pretty well, so they're going to stick with him. It will be the top of the order, Lombardozzi, Bush, and Puckett. Although we might see a pinch hitter for Bush. Most likely will. 5-7, right-handed, is a ground ball second base X. That's the very new second baseman, Garth Orge. I'll tell you what, you make a defensive move and the ball finds the defender right away on the very first try. So Garth Orge, your new second baseman. And Orge is a 4E13. So 4E13 for Garth Orge. 4 and 15, he'll get to it. E13 is the concern. Second base, E13. 14, 3, and 18, so that's not bad. And he makes the play. So Garth Orge throws out Lombardozzi, one second baseman throwing out the other. And now we will get a pinch hitter for Randy Bush, as he does not hit lefties well at all, only face him 3% of the time. Plus, he's a 4 outfielder, so they're really looking to also improve their defense as well. So coming into pinch hit will be Dan Gladden for the Twins, and he will take over in left field, and they will move Brunansky to right field. So we have Gladden pinch hitting in the ninth, and left field in the ninth, and Brunansky will move to right field in the ninth. So let's get Dan Gladden's numbers. And you don't see managing like this on that other channel. I can guarantee you that. All right, here's Dan Gladden. He's hitting .313, 2 homers and 7 driven in. 5.8, and that's a strikeout. So Gladden strikes out, but again, he's an improvement defensively. So they almost, not that you don't mind it, but you definitely like the improvement of the defense. Get those 4s out of the outfield. Here's Puckett. That's a 2-5 for Puckett. He grounds to third. Mullenix is there, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Cerruti pitches very, very well in relief as the Twins are retired, and we go to the bottom of the ninth. Last chance for Toronto as they trail it 3-2. Make the defensive changes. Gladden will stay in the game to play left field. Brunansky will move from left field to right field. And we'll get the numbers on Cerruti to finish him off. Cerruti is going to go 2 2/3 and give up nothing with a strikeout. So can't do much better than that. Toronto bullpen, very effective. But may not be enough. We shall see. Reardon back out to try to get that save. He'll be facing Barfield, Upshaw, and Witt. And looming in the background is Cecil Fielder. So we cannot forget about Cecil Fielder and his home run prowess. He is lurking, ready to hit some home runs. But right now it's going to be Barfield and Upshaw and Witt, the scheduled hitters. Not sure who Fielder would hit for. Might hit for Upshaw. You know, Upshaw's a lefty because Upshaw has been struggling. He's 0 for 3. So could see a righty pinch hit against a righty just because he's so hot. So we'll see how it plays out. Barfield will lead things off. Barfield will lead off. And Barfield is 0 for 3. Not going to pinch hit for Barfield, though. 4-9, and that is a walk. So a leadoff walk to Barfield. He is the tying run. Doesn't run all that well. Let's see if there's anybody on the bench that can run faster that might be a better pinch runner. Not really. Gruber runs at a 15. But then who would you have to play right field is the question. May not have any other outfielder chances because we've already used Leach. See if there's anybody else that can play the outfield. Not according to this. So Barfield's going to stay in there and run for himself. But they will pull Upshaw. Upshaw is being called back, and we will get Cecil Fielder to pinch hit in a big spot. Fielder pinch hitting in the ninth. Cecil Fielder, and we'll get the gaudy numbers on Fielder. Fielder on the replay is hitting .462 in 26 at-bats, 7 home runs and 15 runs driven in. And Reardon may be susceptible to the long ball. We shall see. Reardon to fielder. 6-10, ground ball third base X. Third baseman is Gaetti, and he's a 1. 1E12. 1 and a 6. That might be a double play chance. 1 and a 6 is a double play chance, but there's also an error chance. His error rating's a 12. So 12 or 16. He's got to avoid 12 and 16. Those are his 2 error chances. And he does. So it's going to be a 5-4-3 around the horn double play on that ground ball third base X, 6-10. And fielder hits into the twin killing. And the Blue Jay fans let out a groan, as that other channel would say. Maybe even a barf. And we're down to Ernie Witt. Last chance is Ernie Witt. Not going to pinch hit for Ernie Witt. 269 hitters, so they're going to let him swing away. It's a 5-11. That's a ballpark blast. 1 to an 11. That's a 5. And he has normal power against right-handers. So Ernie Witt takes the Blue Jays off the brink of defeat and ties this game as Reardon blows the save. Look at it again. 5-11. Ballpark blast against the lefty Ernie Witt. He has normal power. Home runs are 11. That's a 5. Ernie Witt, a solo home run after the double play, but that is now tied the score for Witt, home run number 2 on the season. And like we said, it's a blown save for Jeff Reardon. And without that double play, that would have been a walk-off, but that's just the way it goes. Hello, Mr. Ardell. Hopefully you saw that Ernie Witt home run. All right, here's McGriff. 5-4. That's a ballpark single check, but that's a 17. So he will fly to center, and we've got extra innings here in Toronto. So Jeff Reardon blows the save. And now Cecil Fielder will stay in the game to play first base. And we need a new pitcher for Toronto. And it will be Tom Hinkie. So Tom Hinkie will be coming on. And he will be facing Puckett, Herbeck, and Gaetti. That will be all for Reardon as well. He goes an inning and 2/3 and blows the save. So let's get the computer just to be efficient about it. Make sure I don't make any mistakes. All right. So Hinkie is in to pitch. And Fielder stays in the game to play first. And we get the numbers on Reardon, where he blows the save. So he goes an inning and 2/3, gives up the hit, which was the home run. And 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So we got the top of the 10th to get us going, and it's Kirby Puckett. Now he made the last, I'm sorry, it's Herbeck. It's going to be Herbeck, Gaetti, and Smalley due up for the Twins here in the 10th. Herbeck, Gaetti, and Smalley. After 9 innings, it's 3 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Jays, and 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Twins. So we start the top of the 10th. Hello, Rick. Good to see you. So Herbeck will lead things off against Hinkie. Herbeck on the game is 1 for 3, a double and a walk and a run scored. 3-8, and that's another walk. And the numbers on Hinkie, he is 0-1 with 3 saves, a 5.63 ERA, 8 innings pitched, 10 hits, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Make it 4 walks now because he just walked Herbeck. Herbeck will not be held, and here's Gary Gaetti. It's a 5-4, and that is going to be a ballpark single check. That's a 2, so instead of a strikeout, it's a ballpark single check. And it's a base hit for Gaetti. I don't think I've ever seen a ballpark check on a strikeout before. That's kind of unusual that they would mark it that way, but that's the way they did it. So base hits, first 2 batters against Hinkie. And now here's Smalley. They really could use somebody could bunt. So he's a DH. They can put somebody else in the DH. And they may do that. Al Newman is an A bunter. So I think Smalley, despite being 2 for 4, he's being called back because this is situational baseball. And Al, what me worry Newman is going to come on and pinch hit for Roy Smalley. Blue Jays know what's happening, but may not be able to stop it because he is an A bunter, turns to a B bunter, which still probably is good enough to get the job done. First, we'll check for wild pitches and balks. Nothing happening. White die says who it's bunted at, and it's a 3. So a 3 means it's in front of the plate, and the catcher, Ernie Witt, will come out to get it. But as a B bunter, he just has to basically have a 9 or less. That's pretty much what they need, and that's a 4, so that is actually speed. So he's got a chance to beat this out. That's a 15 run rating. So let's look at speed. Speed says batter lays down a good bunt or a great bunt, has a chance to beat out the single, rolls a D20, and if it falls within his run rating, it's a single. So how about that? So he runs at a 15. If we get a 1 to 15, he beats this out. He does. So Newman not only gets the bunt down, he beats it out for a bunt single. And the bases are loaded here against Hinkie with nobody out. Now Hinkie's in all sorts of trouble with Bernansky at the plate. Infield's going to play back. They got to get some outs. They'll give a run to get some outs. They got to get some outs. Even if they gave up a run and got 2 outs, they can still make up another run in the 10th. But you can't let a big inning happen. 6-6 struck him out. He needed that big time. Now a double play gets him out of the inning. And it's Greg Gagne. Infield looking for that double play on Gagne. That's a 5-8. And it's another strikeout. So Hinkie says, don't worry about the double play. I'm just going to start striking guys out. And now we're down to Nieto, but there's no way in the world Nieto's hitting. They will make a move to the bench and get Nieto out of there. And they will pinch hit with Mark Salas. And Salas will stay in the game to catch. So Salas will come in and pinch hit in the 10th and then catch in the 10th. So Tom Kelly trying to pull out all the stops. And they bring in Mark Salas. That leaves Mark Davidson and Tim Laudner, the only 2 remaining on the bench for the Twins. So Salas enters the game hitting 118 in 17 at-bats, but on the 87 season, he was a 250 hitter, so that's why they're going to him. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Infield back to their normal depth. Hinkie looking for the possible 3rd strikeout in a row to get out of the inning. 3-10, and he walks in a run. How about that? Mark Salas draws the walk, and that will bring home the run, as scoring is Herbeck. Gaetti will take 3rd, and taking 2nd is Newman. Twins lead it 4-3 as Hinkie has walked in a run. And that'll bring up Lombardozzi. For 8, and that's another walk. Hinkie has walked in the third batter of the inning. He has forced in another run, and it is now 5-3. And that brings up Dan Gladden for his second at bat. Hinkie can't find the strike zone. 6-8, but he does here struck him out. So he strikes out the side, but he also walked 3 and gave up a couple of hits. And those account for 2 Twins runs. And it's a 5-3 ball game as we go to the bottom of the 10th. And coming to pitch for Minnesota rather. We'll have to go to their pen. And it looks like it's going to be Juan Berenguer to try to get the save for Minnesota. Forgot to write Hinkie's name here. So a very wild inning for Hinkie. 1 inning pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs, walked 3, struck out 3. On the hook for the loss, obviously. Reardon could get the win despite blowing the save if Berenguer holds on. We'll go to Berenguer and get his numbers. On the replay, Berenguer checks in 0-0 with no saves, a 3.95 earned run average, 14 innings pitched, 15 hits, 5 walks, and 16 strikeouts in 14 innings for Berenguer. So Orge is your batter, scheduled, but he's being called back because they need some offense. And they're going to go to Kelly Gruber. And if it goes 11 innings to the 11th, Gruber will stay in the game to play second base. But Gruber's a much better hitter than Orge. So it will be Gruber. Gruber, pinch hitting in the 10th. Kelly Gruber, pinch hitting against Berenguer. Get the numbers on Gruber. And that will just leave backup catcher Jeff DeWillis on their bench. So Gruber is hitting .375, 3 homers, 8 driven in. Gonna try to start things off here against Berenguer. It's a 5-9, and that's a strikeout by Berenguer. Strikes out Gruber, 1 away. Brings up Tony Fernandez, followed by Mullenix. 2-8, and that's a ground ball to first. Herbeck is there, takes the bag himself, 2 down. Twins 1 out away from regain a victory that they almost let get away. It's up to Mullenix. Of course, if Mullenix gets on base, you got Mosby and possibly Bell that could go deep, but they got to get somebody on base first. 2-3, and they don't. He grounded right to Herbeck again, and the ball game is over. Twins win in extra innings by the score of 5-3. And we'll get the totals. Well, we know Reardon got the win. He's now 1-0. Berenguer, the save. Actually, his first save of the season. He went 1 inning and gave up nothing with the strikeout. The loss goes to Hinkie. He is now 0-2 on the season. And Hinkie's ERA is up to 7 now, even 7. So the Twins with the victory go to 9-12. Blue Jays fall to 13-7. And we'll get the line score: 5 runs, 10 hits, and 1 error for the Twins. 3 runs, 10 hits, and no errors for the Blue Jays. Left on base, Twins left on 12. Toronto only left on 5. That's kind of what kept it close, I guess. But Twins outlast the Blue Jays, I guess you could say, in extra innings, winning by the score of 5-3. And with that victory, or I should say with that loss, the Blue Jays were hoping to gain ground on Milwaukee, but now they fall back a game and a half, and the Yankees are now ahead of them at 14-6. They're a full game ahead of Toronto now, as Toronto falls to 13-7. They could have made it 14-6 and tied the Yankees, but it was not to be. So the next game on the replay, as we look at the schedule on the April 29th block, the next ball game to be played will be from the heart of Texas. It'll be the New York Yankees taking on the Texas Rangers, Charlie Hudson against Mike Mason. And then that'll leave 3 games remaining, all on the left coast, all Hotel California games pretty much. Boston at Seattle, Detroit at California, and Milwaukee at Oakland. But the next game on the agenda is the Yankees and the Rangers, Charles Hudson against Mike Mason. And hopefully that will be tomorrow night if all goes well. So game 140 is in the books, and it is a victory for Minnesota. They win it 5-3 in 10 innings as Tom Henke lost control, 3 walks in the inning, despite the 3 strikeouts, but can't walk 3 guys and get away with it, not in the big leagues. All right, so thank you to everyone who was here today, and or tonight, I should say. And I know RJL was off tonight resting his voice, so he'll be back and ready tomorrow night, I'm sure, for more of the 1983 replay. But for Strat-O-Matic, tomorrow night, 1987, it'll be the Rangers and the Yankees. And a little bit earlier, I'm going to shoot for about 8:30-ish to 8:45, somewhere in that neighborhood. I was late tonight because of basketball. The basketball game went to 9, so it took me a while to finish that up and then get set up here. So, but tomorrow night I won't have that problem. I won't have that issue to worry about. It'll be strictly Strat-O-Matic, and we'll try to be more at a normal schedule. So that's going to do it from here. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and as usual, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.